Was your grandfather in getting involved with the Ronald McDonald House in Philadelphia, and how did everything sort of come together?
So a player on the Philadelphia Eagles named Fred Hill, his daughter was diagnosed with leukemia. And at the time, no one really knew what that was. And they had an incredible doctor named Dr. Audrey Evans, and she's the godmother of pediatric oncology. And, she got connected to my grandfather and said, Leonard, we need a place for families to stay. And so the Philadelphia Eagles and the entire city of Philadelphia rallied together and raised money, and they opened up the very first Ronald McDonald House in Philadelphia on Chestnut Street. And, I am very proud of my grandfather's contribution, but I'm really proud of the entire city, the fan base, so many people that rolled up their sleeves and volunteered to start this incredible organization.
Right, and what is the tradition like with that connects football and the Ronald McDonald organization?
Well, in most cities, and actually all football cities, and really beyond, the teams and the players, they're very connected. They really have a connection to the Ronald McDonald House. They really, they love supporting children and finding a way to give back. So I think that's something that everybody can get behind.
Yeah, it's definitely so. What I want to ask next is if somebody wanted to support this organization, where would they start?
Well, here in New Orleans, we're going to have Grace, who's the CEO, answer that question.
Hello,
hey,
Grace.
How are you?
Thanks for coming in for the interview. So we just want to know if somebody wants to support this organization wherever they live, if it's here or somewhere else, what will be the first steps they would take for that?
Well, probably just to go to our website, so rmhcsla, southlouisiana.org. Mm-hmm. And the website will kind of direct them to all different kinds of things, donate either money or time. Volunteers are really the heart of all the houses probably, and without them we couldn't run things. And so they'll cook meals, they'll help clean, we had a volunteer here all day who was doing kind of spot painting, and so they're just kind of part of the house, but definitely go to the website, come by. If you live in New Orleans, we have a absolutely gorgeous house, and it's very New Orleans in theme, because we want our families to know what being here in New Orleans is truly like, the culture, the art, food, music. I mean, there's a lot to love about New Orleans.
So how much has this organization impacted your life in where you are today? Yeah.
It's really interesting because, I'll be in a bad mood or I'll feel like something wronged me or, and then I walk in here and I see what our parents are going through, right? Or I'll see a little baby like we saw earlier, a tiny little premature, baby. And I'll just go, really, Grace, get off your pity pot. It really puts things into perspective. And to see the courage that these families go through. I mean, it's really amazing. And being a grandmother, I can identify, what if one of my grandchildren was in the hospital and we didn't know if she was going to live or die, and we don't have really any control, any ability to control it, just that helpless feeling. It's just awful. So whatever we can do to help those families feel at home and feel comfortable and feel safe, and we want to do it because it could be any of us. I mean, do you have any kids? You got any kids?
I do not as of yet. But
brothers, sisters?
You've got pets.
Nieces? No. Okay, well, we don't do pets, but hopefully, one day maybe you'll have a child, and the last thing that you would want ever to happen to that child is to get seriously ill. But if they did, and you had to go halfway across the country because that's the place that you had to go to get the care. I mean, most of these families come from all over. And so they don't know the city. They don't know us. They literally are walking into a completely strange environment, and it's really scary. And so we really, really try to, from the moment they walk in, just love on them. And I've got some incredible staff. They're all native New Orleanians. I'm the only one that's not native. And so they just have that unique way, like Crystal just did with you, to just love everybody. Just love them. So, yep.
What does being around these kids on a day-to-day basis and interacting with them, how does that impact you? And, what do you feel from being around the kids and helping them all the time?
Well, we primarily are with the families. So like right now, most of our kids are patients, and they're
Right.
preemies actually. We've had a preemie as little as 24 weeks. You could literally in your hand hold that child. And so we're really working mostly with the families, which includes siblings.
So how are you providing comfort and peace of mind to the families during this process?
Well, first, the most basic thing, right, is giving them free food, free meals, a hot dinner, a beautiful room. You'll see it. I mean, beautiful place to lay your head, clean, like a hotel. I mean, like a really nice hotel. There's no cost for anything. Hygiene, kits we give families with shampoo and toothpaste and brushes and combs that are brand new. So that's the number one thing, the basic needs. Then we have case management services, because one of the things that we found was they're all getting loved on here by the hospitals and by us, and then they go home and it's a whole new reality for them, right? They're dealing with major medical issues for their child.
Yeah.
They are dealing with major financial issues with their child. And so our case manager works with them here to find them the resources there in their hometowns, so that when they go home, they're at least more prepared. Because we just found that was just devastating for them, and they had no idea. They were overwhelmed. They couldn't even imagine. Right. So we help them. So we do that. We do, New Orleans is quite the city, and one of the things that we really do encourage our families to do is get out of the hospital, get out as much as you can, get out and get some fresh air, take a walk when the weather's nice. We have the zoo literally down the street. We have an amazing place called City Park, which is kind of like Central Park. It's absolutely gorgeous, and there's museums. There's a children's museum. There's an art museum. There's restaurants here. We have Mardi Gras coming up here in 3 weeks. I mean, so
Watch
there's
out.
a lot going on. We literally have one major parade route that goes right by our house. I mean, literally right by our house. They throw beads and So
that's fun.
There is a lot to do, and we really do want to encourage them to do that. It's good for their own mental health, to be able to do that too.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about the football tradition that's associated with this organization. So is there anything that the NFL continues to do to be involved in this organization?
Well, our home team is the Saints,
right?
And so the Saints do come every Christmas. They come. We have players. We have Gumbo, who is the Saints mascot. We have the cheer crew, and so they will come and they'll hang out for about 2-3 hours with our kids and families, and they just love it. This past year, we had 4 of them that come, and so it's really heartwarming for them, to just take some time out of their busy schedules and just come and hang out. They all have, most of them have kids, and so they can relate. We've got this one, not of this year, but last Christmas, one of the starting centers, Eric McCoy, he actually came and he sat in a corner of the dining room. There was a little tiny baby that was kind of put in his arms, and then Mama sat next to him, and they just started talking. He stayed right there for about an hour and a half.
That's incredible.
And was just in love with that baby. Just in love with that baby. And he said, when they were leaving, he said, Miss Grace, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to volunteer during the off season. And I thought, right, he's a busy guy. He's a starting center. I mean, he came. Sure enough, he came. He came when we had a little 3-year-old. It was her birthday, and he came and he helped to cook dinner. We got pictures of big old Eric McCoy. I'm sorry, that's me. That might be, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I got to take that. Sorry, will you take over?
Well,
I'll take over.
Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so do you have any message to any families out there?
So I think that the message is that the Ronald McDonald House is a place where families can come and stay when their children are in the hospital. And I have my oldest son, when he was 9 months old, he was diagnosed with neuroblastoma, which is a neurological type tumor that was in his chest. So while I did not stay at the Ronald McDonald House, I feel like I got to experience what it's like to have a sick child. And so I relate to the families when they are staying at the Ronald McDonald House on different levels, mostly because obviously I've been a parent of a sick child, but also because my grandfather was so involved in starting the very first charity, the very first Ronald McDonald House. So I think that when they realize that there's a place for them to stay and that they can be here with their family, and it just takes a lot of the pressure off them. And usually what happens is after their child heals and recovers and they're able to go back home, most of the families end up coming back and volunteering at the house because they just love it so much that they want to find a way to give back. And it really is. And every house is different. Like this house is different than the house in Philadelphia. This house is different than the house in Charlotte, North Carolina. So each house has like their own little imprint, which I love about it too, so that you get to see all these different places, and doctors from all over the world are here to treat your children.
All right, Marnie, we really want to thank you and Miss Grace for your time with everything today. Is there anything else you want the people to know about the Ronald McDonald House and, everything that you're involved in?
Well, I think that, first of all, thank you guys for being here and taking the time to come check out the Ronald McDonald House. It's a charity that really means a lot to me. And I think that everybody, I guarantee that if you start to reach out to people that there will be some connection. Somebody will tell you like, oh, my nephew, or oh, my brother, or oh, there will be a connection. Somebody stayed at the Ronald McDonald House, and it's not like 6 degrees of separation. It's probably more like 2 degrees, because it has really served so many families over the past 50 years. So 50 years is an amazing accomplishment, and they're just getting started. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So everyone at home, see what you can do to get involved in your Ronald McDonald House. Thank you, Marnie.
Shamrock Shakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, go get a Shamrock Shake. So the Shamrock Shake started as